Hey, I just wanted to kind of do a recap here on what I thought we heard this week, or rather today, during our sessions. And if you've got any last questions, now's the opportunity to actually express them. So first session, we talked a little bit about the way the processes work inside of OpenDaylight. In particular, we've got our next release coming out is targeted for September 8th. We talked about OpenDaylight performance in the second session where, again, initial testing of the performance. This work has really begun. We expect this to be an ongoing effort where we're actually publishing a continued and deeper set of analysis from our performance as each release comes out. In particular for this one, we persist our network modifications to disk, and we learned in particular that for performance improvements, you really either want to, most importantly, you want to run OpenDaylight with an SSD. And there are a variety of other performance options as well inside of your operating system that can help as well. Integrating OpenDaylight with Openstack. Again, we've got a new Neutron plugin re-architecture that's underway, and that will be continuing on through a series of releases within Openstack. For OpenDaylight and OPNFV, Brahmaputra, the second release includes many more tests and test labs and several more components. The Colorado release planning, or the C release of OPNFV, is now underway. The advisory group and the end user culture, the change from that session with Chris Luke. The advisory group is really comprised of network architects. That's who we're trying to get to help give us feedback to the technical steering community, or the technical steering committee and the technical community at large. A culture change is definitely needed throughout our users that we're seeing, and Chris talked a little bit about that and ways to actually improve the transition for those folks that are affected within your organization, be it training, mentoring, and additional aids for that transition. We had a panel on packet processing between FDIO, POF, P4, and OpenSwitch, where those platforms are really, you're now seeing a lot of software, right? Software is eating the world. So these are a set of software projects that are really focused on the data plane. Again, we heard a couple of them are actual packet forwarders. One's an extension of OVS. The FDIO is really meant for general purpose packet forwarding use cases, in particular any kind of middle box that had been done by traditional hardware. P4 is a programming language to really give more flexibility for how you actually manipulate switches. In particular with OpenFlow or other protocols. And again, OpenSwitch really focused on extending OVS and particularly around what you can get from an analytics standpoint, understanding what's going on inside your data plane. Our clustering talk, Colin gave us information on the fact that we use Akka with a strong consistency model. Current implementation is only allowing shards set at the children directly underneath the root. We plan on doing more flexible sharding as well as providing different options for relaxing that strong consistency where applications are able to use that in the intent of improving performance. And then finally talked about service assurance and networks. Again, we've got an explosion of network activity going on, 5G in particular, as well as NFV and the VNFs that those are going to generate are going to be an additional explosion of software we've got to manage, as well as, and again, being able to do that with a strong set of analytics, in particular predictive and predictability, for being able to foresee what's going to happen in the network and making those adjustments to begin with is going to be key and a major use case for SDN and NFV. Yeah, I just hate the way this thing projects. So again, recap, we've got a whole bunch of things going on Tuesday. You can look for the OpenDaylight sessions that are going to be going on throughout the day. That's probably the best thing I can tell you is to take a look for those. Search for OpenDaylight in the titles, and then I'm giving a talk again on open source best practices and how your organization can use best practices to actually interact with these open source projects. And then something that is in big print that should be coming across cleanly. We have an event, we have a reception tonight at the 501 Club over at Levi Stadium, and that starts at 6 in about an hour and 15 minutes or so. And with that, any last questions? Anybody come here really wanting to know something and they didn't get an answer? Now would be the time, because if I don't know the answer, I will get a person who does. Yes, Charles.
And slides are available tomorrow?
Slides should be available. Yeah, we're collecting them. I know Amy's actually sent a mail out already to everybody to collect them, and we'll be putting them on the wiki. Again, should be by end of day tomorrow. Okay. Any last questions? Yes, sir.
On the OpenDaylight wiki or on the Linux Foundation?
It'll be on the OpenDaylight wiki. Okay. And we'll actually send a mail to the discuss list, identifying where they're located, and probably try to tweet it out as well, so that we hit the channels. Anything else? Well, I want to say thank you very much for your attention and making it all the way through the entire day. Hopefully you learned a lot about OpenDaylight and things that you really wanted to understand. Again, very open community. If you walk away in 2 days from now, you got a question, please feel free to jump on a mailing list. The Discuss mailing list is general purpose. If you go to lists.opendaylight.org, there is a pointer to every list that we have, and they're pretty much by project. Again, Discuss will cover everybody. Similarly, we have the same type of IRC channels. And those are all on Freenode, so search for OpenDaylight on Freenode, and you'll find all of the OpenDaylight channels. Join those. Again, anything you're missing in documentation, and we recognize our documentation needs improvement. In the meantime, you have any questions, what we lack in documentation, we make up for in a very friendly community, so don't be shy, okay, to come ask questions. With that, thank you very much. Have a lovely evening.